Okay, so these are the instructions. And so if you do have the 2023 version of the CBI app, you can go ahead and delete it. And the way to do that is to open Survey 123, click on the 2023 CBI, and when you're on the page that has the title of the survey and down at the bottom it says collect, that's the survey home screen. If you look in the upper right corner of that screen, there's 3 horizontal lines. That's a menu icon. And if you click on that, delete survey is an option. It won't hurt anything to keep 2023 on there, but it's easy to forget and click that instead of 24. So I recommend doing that. Here's my email address. If you ever have trouble with the app, reach out directly to me and I can try and help. Okay, so there are 2 steps to installing Survey 123 and the CBI survey. The first is to get Survey 123, which is a free app developed by a company called Esri, and it's available through the App Store on your iPhone, through the Google Play Store on an Android phone, and I think also on the Amazon App Store. It doesn't work super well with Fire tablets, but it can be installed, so you can give it a try if that's what you have. So what you do when you go to the store is you search for Survey 123 for ArcGIS, and then you click the button that says Get or Install or Open. That's next to the app. You don't have to put it on a mobile device. You can put it on a computer. For Windows computers, there's a link here in the instructions, which takes you to this page that says ArcGIS Survey 123 downloads. Now, ignore anything up here. It says something about pricing. There's no price involved. You don't have to buy anything. So you can download for your Windows computer. You can click on Get It from Microsoft, and you'll download a .exe file, which is the typical download file, installation file for Windows. I believe you can install it on newer Macs as well. If you have an older Mac, they've discontinued support for Mac computers, but there is still an installation file from 2022 that will work. So if you want to try installing it on a Mac computer, let me know and I can send the link to that file. Ignore where it says Get ArcGIS Survey 123 Connect. This is the software that's used to actually build the surveys, so you don't need that. There's also a second way to get a Windows file for Windows 64-bit systems, and that's from this installation link here. So once you've downloaded the file from this page, you just need to remember where you downloaded it to, and then navigate to that location, find the .exe file, and usually double-click on it to start the installation process. And you'll go through the dialog for doing the installation and just accept all the default settings. If you already have Survey 123 installed from previous years, sometimes it's a good idea to go ahead and update it using these files as well. So if you've had it, for 4 or 5 years, it's probably not a bad idea to come to this page and get the newer version. Okay. Now, going back to the instructions. So once you've successfully installed the Survey 123 app itself, you still need to get the CBI survey. And there are, again, 2 ways to do that. If you have it on a phone or a tablet that has a camera, the easiest thing to do is to open the camera app on your phone and point it at this QR code here. You don't have to click the shutter. You just aim it until you see, on an iPhone anyway, it's a yellow box that forms around the outline of the QR code. And that indicates that a link has been sensed and activated, and you can click on that link. Usually there's a pop-up down at the bottom of the iPhone screen that says Survey 123, and you can click on that. And what that does is it brings you to a browser web page, and that will say It'll say survey 123. It has a green background, and it'll say download survey in field app. And I don't have a screenshot of that on here. Anyway, so that's one way to do it. Another way is to, and this works best if you are installing on a computer. If you can open these instructions on the computer that you're planning to use, all you need to do is click on this link, bit.ly/main CBI 2024. Let me see if it works. Yeah, so ask me if I want to open the survey, and I click yes. I already have it open, so I'm not sure quite what's going to happen now, but yeah. So if it works, it should open the survey right away, like you're right in the start survey screen. So I'm gonna close that for now. Here. Okay. So again, either use the QR code or the bit.ly link to get the survey itself. Once you've done this, you don't need to repeat these steps. It'll be saved within the Survey 123 app anytime you go and open it on subsequent occasions. Okay. All right, so I'll pause there. Are there any questions on the installation? And if you were trying to do it while I was talking and it didn't succeed, don't worry about it. If you can either hang on till the end after I go through actually entering data into the app, or if you can contact me via email, I can help you troubleshoot. I don't see anything in the chat. Mary, did you have a question? You're muted.
I usually am not muted, so that was confusing. No, I don't have any questions and I don't see anything in the chat either. So now is the chance to ask any kind of general questions. Again, if you're having issues with your particular device, you'll need to either stay on or contact Becky directly for those questions. Lisa's saying nothing has loaded. So are you trying to do it on your device, Lisa, or I don't know what you're trying to do, but maybe Lisa can stay on your phone. Okay, so we can talk about that towards the end. So let's get going with the rest of
Yep.
Becky's presentation, and then we can kind of troubleshoot the end.
Right. Okay. So assuming that you've got everything loaded and up and running, like I said, if you just downloaded the survey, it will go right into the first page of the survey form. But if not, if you're opening up from your phone or your computer for the first time, this is what you'll see. And it'll have a couple of options to sign in, manage ArcGIS connections, or continue without signing in. You don't need to sign in ever, so just click continue without signing in. And for me, it's already here, it's loaded. If you come here and you don't see anything, that means that you did not get the survey, the CBI survey yet. And at that point, you should either try using the link in the instructions or the QR code again. And here, actually, I'll show you another way to use the QR code. If you're on this screen, and you don't have any surveys, down at the bottom, it will say sign in to get surveys. Again, ignore that. Go up to the search bar instead. And on the right side of the search bar, there's a little symbol of a QR code. And that will do the same thing. It will open up your camera, and then you can use the camera on your phone to aim at the QR code and get that. So that's another way that I don't think I put in the instructions. Anyway, assuming that you do have the CBI app in, You can click on the thumbnail for it, and it'll show you the name up here. It'll show you that I'm the owner, that it was created on for April 1st, and then it was modified on 5/22. This date is going to be continually changing, especially at the beginning of the season, because I have to add new inspectors and make corrections. Anytime I do that, you're going to be asked to update the survey. So if you come onto Survey 123 and click on the thumbnail and it says, please update the survey, go ahead and do that. Actually, I don't think you have a choice anymore. I think you're required to accept any updates. And updating it won't delete, or you won't lose any of the data that you've already collected. So no worries there. Okay, so when you're on this screen, you will have, at the very least, you'll have a collect button. And then when you start working and submitting surveys, then you'll have a few other buttons down here. So you're going to click collect. And it will take a bit to load. So the first thing is the shift date. You enter that. You select your organization from the drop-down list. Now, there's a long list of organizations in here, so really the easiest thing to do is to start typing in either the full name or the abbreviation for it. And then once it's filtered out in this list, you have to click the radio button next to it to actually select it. And you can't type the full name in the box here and have it hold. You have to select the button next to the item in the drop-down list. After selecting the organization, you will see the list of ramps associated with the organization. So you select the appropriate one, and then you select your name from the inspector name list. So again, you can search this and select it. If your name is not in the list yet, no problem. Just scroll all the way down to the bottom and click Other, New Inspector, and type in your first name and last name here. And then we'll know to add it in for the next round of updates. I see somebody asked, will names carry over from 2023? And the answer is yes, unless I've received a different list from the coordinator. So if you were in there last year, you'll be in there this year, hopefully. So. And everyone has an inspector ID, and this is useful. We have a dashboard, which is basically a web page where you can see all the statistics and some charts for the CBI app. And we don't put names on there. We just use the inspector IDs. So if you want to look up, your data on the dashboard, just remember, look up your inspector ID and look that up on the dashboard. Okay, then you enter your shift start time and end time, or shift start time, and use 24-hour time. So 2 p.m. would be 1400. Enter the number of trailers. Any field that has a red asterisk next to it is required. Someone have a question? Yeah, so if it has a red asterisk, it's required. If it doesn't, it's not. So you don't have to enter the number of trailers. Again, my name is here. This will open up an email and send me a direct email right there. And then there's a link to the dashboard. I'll go over the dashboard later, though. So once you've filled out all the shift start info, then you go on to page 2, clicking the arrows down at the bottom of the screen. And this is the inspections page. And you can enter multiple inspections for a single survey entry. So basically you go through all the questions here and then hit the plus sign to add another inspection and another inspection until you've entered all your inspections. And then you'll go on to the third page and submit. So for entering the inspections, it asks you, did you do any inspections during your shift? Because it's entirely possible you go out there and there's no boats. In that case, you would click no. And you'll still see these questions, but you can't answer them. This is just indicating that it's indicating to us that you were there, you did your shift, but there weren't any inspections associated with it. Now, on the other hand, if you did have inspections, you want to leave this checked to yes, and then you enter the inspection time. And I believe this has a check on it now, so that it looks at your shift start time, and it looks at the inspection time. And if the boat inspection time is earlier than the shift start, it'll give you a warning message, I believe. Let me see. So I entered the shift start as 2 p.m. And I don't think it does it here. I think it does it on a later page, but I'll leave that and see what happens. You note whether the boat was entering or leaving. Was it motorized? If it was motorized, it asks for the state of registration. And those are listed by most frequent states first, and then alphabetical after Connecticut. So the New England states are all listed there first. Again, you can search this list to narrow it down. I'll select Maine. Okay. So now that we have the 2-letter abbreviation, so in the bound number space, you're just entering the 6 characters after the state abbreviation. So and you don't need to leave spaces or hyphens, just enter the whole thing as a single string. Okay. Mark whether the sticker was current, and then we get to the last water body visited. So to kind of narrow that down, since the vast majority of inspections, the boat was on the same water body previously, all you have to do is click that same water body, and it fills in the info from the first page, where you are currently. Similarly, if it's somebody's new boat, or they don't want to answer, or they don't know, then you can just click the unknown first time decline to answer option. And then where it gets interesting is if they choose, tell you different lake in Maine or out of state. So when you choose that option, then you get another set of drop downs here. And the first one is the last water body visited. So what I did to populate this list was kind of look at several years of inspections and just to, figure out which like 500 lakes or water bodies were most frequently entered as the last water body. So it contains probably all of the most popular lakes in Maine and Massachusetts and New Hampshire, plus a bunch of other things. So you can always search. So we'll try Winnipesaukee. And you fortunately don't have to fully know how to spell Winnipesaukee, because no one does. You just type in Win and just watch the list, and it will pop up. And it will know that it's in New Hampshire. Won't know the last town, but it's really not critical to enter that information. Last town and last state are not required, but they're highly desired if you do know them. Okay, now if plants were found on the boat or the trailer, you click yes. And there's a new question this year, optional. Where was the plant found on the boat or trailer? And then there's several options here, and you can select multiple. So if you found a couple plants, you can, say outside of Hull, and in live well. So. And that just helps with data collection and knowing where vulnerable spots are. Then you're asked, was a plant invasive? And of course, you don't always know this. If it was verified and you know for sure, then you can click yes, it was verified. If you know it's not invasive, check no. If you don't know, which is probably going to be the most likely answer, submit it for identification. And it should be sent, it should be given to your coordinator to be sent to DEP or Lake Stewards of Maine. or appropriately trained individuals. Some organizations have people who are trusted and trained to do the ID, but in general, it needs to go to someone like that, and it needs to be kept cool, ideally in a, I think in a fridge. Is that okay, Mary? Yeah.
Yeah,
Until,
just refrigerated is, yeah.
yeah. Okay. All right. So if you answer yes, it was identified as an expert, then you have to select who did that ID. Um, okay. So we'll leave that there. So that's all the questions for a single inspection, and this mirrors the paper form, if you're familiar with that. And so this would be one row of data in the paper form. So then you go on and enter your second inspection. You'll notice down at the bottom, it gives you a list of the inspections that you've entered. So it's telling me what was the time, what was the registration number, and what direction was it entering or leaving. So that will help you kind of track your entries. Oh, and I did notice that it's telling me the inspection time is before the shift start time. So 11 o'clock is before the 2 p.m. shift start. So I'm just going to edit that to be 1400. That should work. Yeah. Okay, so I will do one more entry for the inspection. I'm going to do a non-motorized boat for this one. So we'll say 1420, entering, selecting non-motorized. And so now there's an option to select the number of non-motorized boats in a group. So if you have, say, a canoe rental, kayak rental company that's coming and launching a bunch of boats, you do need to inspect each of them. But as long as no plants are found, you can just hit the spinner until you've entered the total number of non-motorized boats. And again, that's only if no plants are found. If you do find a plant, just enter that boat as a separate entry. Okay, so here we're going to say same as the current water body. I'm going to say no plants were found. And it's telling me that this was the second inspection. And down here at the bottom, here's the inspection time. There's no registration number, so there's a gap there, and then it says entering. All right, so let's say I've gone through and finished all of the inspection entries. Oh, if you ever need to go back and delete inspection, you will navigate to it using the arrows in this section here. So if I wanted to delete the first, I'd go back to it and then hit the trash can icon. Say you entered it in error or started filling it out, and it was like started filling out the last boat in advance, but there was no last boat, which happens a lot. So I'll get like a lot of entries that are the last entry for the shift that are blank. So you can actually delete those before submitting them. Okay, so now we're going on to page 3, assuming all data has been entered. And here we enter the shift end time. This is another new question, and again, this is optional. Number of boaters who refused inspections. And some organizations were kind of looking to track this, and DEP was interested in these numbers, but it's optional. You don't have to fill it out or track it. Okay, and then there's a comments section, and these are comments that are relevant to maybe a certain inspection that you did. Like if you want to make comments about like the number of plants that were found, or something something that's really relevant. If there's an error, if you made an error in your data entry and it needs to be updated, put that in the comments. But if it's something that needs immediate assistance, email me directly. Like I don't necessarily see these comments right away. Like I review the data like every week or two, and I look at the comments, but I won't see anything critical in there probably in time to help you out. So, and also things like things about payroll or things that have to do with your coordinator, and you shouldn't go in here either, because they won't see that. This is just for specifically anything that affects the inspections themselves. Okay, and this year we have an option to enter an email address so you can receive confirmation of your submission. So you can put your email in here. And then because I selected one of those inspections and said, yeah, we found an invasive plant here, you get this notice that a notification email will be sent to DEP and your organization's coordinator. Now, that's only if I have your coordinator's email, and I do happen to have Mary's. So it's auto-populating that here, and it's going to send that notification to her. Lucky you.
Yes.
But so this just helps us keep track of submissions and to verify that you actually successfully submitted your data. Okay.
And if sorry, Becky, just if there's coordinators in the room right now who would like to have that option, just let Becky know. If you're the coordinator for a particular association and you would like to be notified when your inspectors submit a survey that has a plant found, let Becky know that. Not right now, just email her.
Yeah.
Separate.
Yeah. So that's the end of the survey. A couple of things before I submit it. If you're in the middle of entering your data, and you need to stop for some reason and save it, you can hit the X mark in the upper left corner and save a draft. So I'm going to do that now. So then that brings you back to the front page, and now you've got a drafts folder. So you can always go back in there, click on it, and continue entering data. You also have options to close and basically delete the survey as well, but mainly you're just going to be using this to save the draft. Up here. So if you are done with the survey form and you're ready to submit, you click the check mark in the bottom right corner here. And if you've missed any of the required questions, it's going to bump you back to that page and outline the missing data in a red box. I don't think I have any of those, so it's not going to do it to me. But you just need to fill out any missing data and then come back to page 3 and hit the check mark again. So this is telling me the device is online, and I can go ahead and send it now. If you say you're out in the field, you're doing this at the ramp, and you go to send, but you don't have cell signal, your only option will be save it in the outbox. So I'm going to do that right now, just to demo. Okay, so now instead of the drafts, I have an outbox, and the outbox means that it's done and it's ready to go, and then all you have to do is hit the send button. I'm gonna reopen it. Okay, so this time I'm actually gonna hit send now. So then you should see this getting service information and sending ramp, and it went successfully, and now it's in my sent folder. So anything that's in here, I can go in here and check and make sure. It gives you the date, it tells you the location and your name, which you already know. But so it is possible also to edit surveys that you've submitted. So let's say you made a mistake with the date. You can go into the sent folder. You can choose edit and resend. And all right, so let's say I want to change the date to, I did the inspection actually on Sunday. So I'm going to resend it. Now you want to be cautious about, oh, I don't know why I did that. No, it shouldn't have done that, but it's okay. It should have sent it. I got to check why that happened. But you're not probably going to be editing sent surveys that frequently. It's actually better to contact me and let me know if there's a particular error that you want corrected. It's probably easier for me to find the survey and make the correction. So I think that was it for filling out the survey. Let me just take a quick look here. Yeah, I think that's it. All right, I will pause there and see if there's any questions. So
we do have a couple of people in the chat. One was, I don't see my ramp as one of the choices, but I don't recognize the username. So I'm not able to determine who they are with. And Barbara Edmond, who I believe is from Citizens Association from Liberty Lakes, if I'm not mistaken, said that last year, if you enter non-motorized boats and you put in that you had 5 non-motorized boats in a chunk in the inspection, that it only counted as one inspection. So when you go to do your reporting, that may not be like super accurate for the number of boats that you actually put eyes on. So I don't know, Becky, if there's any way to like remedy that, if people are getting a lot of like groups of non-motorized boats.
Yeah, I fixed that last year actually, so it should now work. I did forget to point something out here. So now here I've selected non-motorized boat and I've said there's 7 non-motorized boats. And now on the 3rd page, there's this totals tab, which you expand, and it gives you the separate sums for non-motorized and motorized, then total boats. So that's recorded. So that was actually working. Maybe it wasn't all year, all summer last year, but I did do that correction last year. So that should be.
That's neat.
Fixed. Lake Norway ramps.
So Norway would be under Lakes Association of Norway. So
Yep.
LAON. LAON. And then there's just the town ramp for that.
Right. So Lisa, is there another ramp that's used on Norway?
Nope, she's got it.
Okay. And yeah, so the person who said they don't see their ramp, what was the ramp? You can put it in the chat.
I have not been able to connect with them again.
All right. Well, you can email it to me and we can get it added, or I can figure out where it is if it's not in there already.
Yeah, and we do have new folks, new groups coming online, so there could be some that are not added yet.
Yeah, and it doesn't take very long to make changes to the app at all. So
yeah,
the important change, it can be done within a day.
And I think I am going to, I know I already shared it, but the resources page that I talked about earlier, at the bottom of that, it also has your the inspector name submission form. So if you have new inspectors that you want to add, that is the way to do that. That said, if you have I have 30 inspectors, so if you have kind of a list, I don't know, Becky, if it's like more than 5 or if it's just going to be a pain to individually enter your inspector names and you have them like in an Excel spreadsheet list, you can send that to Becky directly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Some people have a lot of volunteers on their roster, so It's good to get everybody in, and you can, if your inspector's name is not in the app, they can type it in. You can enter it, but it is nice to just be able to pick it from the drop down.
Just thought I might demonstrate the dashboard real quickly if there aren't any other questions about the app. So yeah, as soon as the data is submitted and sent through the app, it goes into like a cloud database, and then that's directly hooked up to this dashboard. And I'm seeing that I need to adjust some font sizes because some things are really hard to read on here. But anyway, so you've got a map basically of all of the ramp locations that have been entered. If you haven't entered any data yet, for your ramp, then it's not going to show up on here. But once you start, submitting surveys, it's gonna start putting them on the map. So Ellsworth has been going since April, which is awesome. And so they've got like 76 inspections. So you can zoom around and, look at the map and look at the data that way. But then you can also filter it. So you can select your organization from this drop-down list over here. So we'll try Friends of Cobbossee, and that will zoom the map into the shifts for that organization. You can also select a specific launch. Okay, I'll reset those. You can select a date range, and you can do multiple, so you can say, I want to see all my organization's inspections during the week of July 4th. So you can do both of those options here, and it will filter out all of that data. So then once you, you can also do by inspector ID. Like I said, this is why you might want to know what your ID is, because then you can come in here and say, okay, so I've done 13 shifts so far this summer and inspected all 83 boats.
And this is a good way if you get your inspector numbers. So if you have employees or volunteers that you're managing, you can get a list of those ID numbers from Becky. If you, again, I have 30 or so folks that I'm keeping track of over here at LEA. So it's nice to be able to say, where was Bob on that day? And I just know his ID number, because we're not going to publish all of your inspector names on the dashboard. They're all anonymous.
Okay, and so you might have noticed that when I do select something from this list over here, it zooms into the site, and then it also filters out all these other panels. Let me select a better one that has more data. So we'll do Ellsworth. Okay, so now for Ellsworth, we can see that they've had 518.9 paid inspector hours so far. I guess they're all paid, but if they had volunteers, then the volunteer hours would show up here as well. Total of 76 days or shifts, 275 inspections, and then it gives you the split of motorized versus non-motorized. And they found, so the invasive number will be in the big red letters, but then below it is the total number of plants found. So if they found 5 plants, but one was invasive, it would be 1 here, and then 5 plants were found. So that's the case for any organization. Someone last year had a good suggestion to separate the plants found by boats entering the lake and boats leaving the lake. And so that's what this is. There's only been 1 plant found, and it was leaving. But when more plants start being found, there'll be another bar here that says entering underneath it. So it's just kind of a good way of seeing where inspections are picking up the plants. And then if you need details on a particular shift, that's over in the right-hand pane here. And up at the top, there's a number, and this number should correspond, which is number 76 here. This should correspond with the number of shifts. So you can just scroll through this, and it's listed in reverse chronological order. So the most recent will be the first, and then you scroll back to go back further in time. And then there's also inspection details. In here, yeah, it's hard to see. In the inspection details pane, we're giving, was it motorized? Was it stickered? What direction was it going? And we're giving the registration state, but not the registration number, again, for anonymity. And we're giving the last water body where it was launched. So a lot of detail here. And in previous years, I've had a link up in the top pane where you can go to actually download the data as a CSV file if you are familiar and comfortable with doing that, so you can get your data for yourself. Or you can always, again, ask me if you want a particular set of data. So this is still kind of under development. I'm still working on it, but this is kind of the bare bones. Oh, sorry, there's a couple more things. Underneath the map, there's two other tabs, and one of them is the last water body. So this is kind of neat. For that particular lake, you can see where are most of the boats coming from. So Toddy Pond is a big one, Green Lake, Atlantic Ocean. So it lists the top 50 water bodies, I think, in descending order of popularity. And then another one is inspections by date. So this just tells you on any given day. There were 23 inspections on April 27th and 24 on May 12th. So. And I think that's about it for the dashboard. If there's anything else anyone would like to see on there, send me an email and we can maybe make some additions to it. But are there any questions on that or anything?